Do you want to know China's darkest secret? Yeah, me too.
And it does not want you looking at this one. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. And I have some exciting news. We're at nearly 2 million subscribers.
Oh, that's a good number. Can I get 1% of those subscribers, please? Subscribe. If you're watching this video, subscribe to the channel.
Only about 40,000 to go. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button now. When we get to 2 million, we'll do a special live stream for you where we'll do something we've never done before. So again, hit that subscribe button. Now, on with the show. The
Maybe
Chinese
they'll tell the truth about China.
Communist Party is a totalitarian regime that won't blink an eye at crushing anyone it perceives as a threat. And today, July 20th, 2024, marks a very special reminder of that.
I like it how he said about the totalitarian regime showing just the police, as if the rest of the world doesn't have this kind of police for riots, protests, and etc. It's only in China, right?
It's the 25th anniversary of the CCP's persecution of Falun Gong. Of course, for 25th anniversaries, the traditional gift is silver. And I'd like to see some of those CCP thugs celebrate by being carted off in these gorgeous silver handcuffs. Falun Gong, sometimes called Falun Dafa, is a type of Qigong, a bit like Tai Chi. Falun Gong is slow exercises and meditation, but there's also a spiritual component based on living your life by the principles of truth, compassion, and tolerance. It became super popular in China in the 1990s, and it was even featured positively in Chinese state-run media for its reported health benefits.
Yes.
If you took a walk in the park this morning, you can see that the recent hard work the government has put into public health activities has not been wasted. Every morning starting from 5 to 6 a.m., the city's green grass, parks and public squares become a morning exercise heaven.
That's normal in China, actually. Everywhere, every park and the open area, you have people dancing, doing exercises, kung fu, tai chi.
Wow. Should I be surprised that the CCP took credit for Falun Gong's health benefits?
They've been doing this forever in China. They still do it today, and Falun Gong is forbidden in China. So.
The closest thing communist China came to offering their citizens a health benefit was helping them lose weight.
On the video he showed to us, there's no mention to Falun Gong. No mention at all. And he didn't mention that Falun Gong says, for example, that if a child is born from a mixed marriage, this child will not go to heaven. That God is against mixed races. Or the Falun Gong creator, the guy who invented Falun Gong, has superpowers. He talks with aliens. Or he can levitate. These kind of things.
Like a lot of weight. You're welcome. But by the late 90s, the Chinese leader at the time, Jiang Zemin, started to see Falun Gong as a threat. After all, Falun Gong had a source of spiritual fulfillment and a guide for how to live their best lives other than communism. And communism can offer that fine on its own, thank you very much. I mean, what says I'm spiritually fulfilled more than seeing other people prospering and thinking I must destroy them? And so the CCP started cracking down on Falun Gong. They started arresting them, hauling them away, detaining them indefinitely, and eventually moved on to killing them for their...
Again, they play a lot of random videos that we have no idea when those videos were taken, where, what's the context behind those videos. There's no reference. How do we know these people arrested on the video are related to Falun Gong or not? And this killing of the Falun Gong for their organs, there's no proofs at all. Is a lot of hearsay.
Their organs. Chinese state-run media, of course, did a complete 180.
The People's Daily reports that Falun Gong is an evil cult.
Yes, because Falun Gong started to get into politics. That was the problem. That is why every religion in China is controlled by the government and not the opposite. Religions in China cannot control the government. So any religion, including Catholicism, Protestants, they have to explain to the state what they're preaching and why. And then the government will say, okay, this is okay or not. It should be like that
is
everywhere.
an illegal organization, and the decision is to outlaw it.
The Chinese Communist Party calling anyone an evil cult while killing them for their organs is like Dracula calling someone a blood-sucking fiend. I'd ask him to take a look in the mirror, but, you know, Dracula. And for a quarter
The
century,
difference is Falun Gong is a bad thing, is a real thing. Dracula doesn't exist.
the Communist Party has never stopped repressing Falun Gong. Chinese government directives, work reports, and development plans issued by local officials continue to make references to Falun Gong when it comes to safeguarding national security, political
Because
security,
a cult.
national political
Because in China, they will never allow a cult.
security, and state security.
You never say anything like Wako in China. This will never happen because the government will not allow a cult to get this big. Jamestown or the Wild Wild Country, the series on Netflix, you'll never see this in China because the government will not allow a cult like that.
Because nothing makes communists feel more insecure than people being healthy and happy without them. The horror. China says security so much that at this point, I don't even know what doesn't count as security. Even as recently as 2023, China's Ministry of Public Security, there it is again, pushed for cracking down on Falun Gong in press conferences, because the only exercise China is comfortable with are their own military exercises near Taiwan. Also in 2023, China launched a nationwide anti-Falun Gong campaign that tried to get millions of people to sign a petition against Falun Gong and other banned religious groups on the China Anti-Cult Association website.
Yes.
It's for their own good, you see. You wouldn't want a centralized form of power controlling every
Yeah,
aspect.
but let's let the country with a 1.4 billion people to have cults. What could go wrong, right?
Of people's lives and oppressing them now, would you? That sort of thing would never happen under communism.
China has the biggest Catholic population, the second biggest Catholic population in the world, just behind Brazil. There are over 100 million Catholics in China.
China has since expanded the signature campaign program to cover rural villages and ethnic minority regions. Meanwhile, one kindergarten even forced parents to sign a pledge
Yes.
titled Wenzhou Kindergarten's Family Commitment to Non-Belief, stating that they would not practice or share with
Look at this. It's amazing because the source is Falun Dafa Info Center. And there's a pink paper wrote in Chinese, which anyone can do. And we here, I can barely read Chinese, but I bet you guys cannot. So anyone could have wrote this, even Google Translate. How do we know this is for real? No need to know, right? Just
their
let's
children
let's
religion
just say that it's from China and that's it.
of any kind, but especially Falun Gong. But persecuting Falun Gong practitioners in China wasn't enough. The Chinese Communist Party has gone after them internationally as well. Back in December 2015, then Public Security Chief Meng Jianzhu noted the urgent need to treat the countries and regions with serious Falun
Yes.
Gong activities, such as the United States, as the main battlefield. Thankfully, that's the only way China sees the U.S. as a battlefield, right? Right? Leaked documents show that there have been Chinese efforts to conduct in-depth investigations of overseas Falun Gong and collect intelligence about them. This includes gathering extensive personal and biographical details, as well as information about relatives remaining in China.
Oh, that's
and
crazy, right? How crazy it would be if a country was spying other people. Oh, actually this week was leaked that the United States was spying Brazilian president for several years. And I remember when Obama was spying Angela Merkel from Germany, the South Korean president, the previous Brazilian president. But that would be crazy, right? There's another country spying on the other people. China was invaded by Western countries several times on this 19th century and 20th century. And today, unfortunately, Falun Gong is connected to the extreme right in the United States. They're connected with Trump campaigns. They support with their propaganda arm, like the Epoch Times. They're very, very much connected. Well, China has to be careful.
and orders to establish databases with these details. And you probably know that Falun Gong started Shen Yun, the Chinese cultural dance shows. Their tagline is China before communism.
But no political, it's not connected to political at all, it's just culture.
Well, CCP can't allow that to happen in free democratic countries. So the CCP uses its embassies to try and coerce prominent venues in major world cities.
This is the Epoch Times. Epoch Times is the propaganda arm from Falun Gong.
Not to host
And actually, this Epoch Times that started last week that Xi Jinping had a stroke, or last year that Xi Jinping had was suffering a military coup. Nothing happened. Nothing. No coup. No stroke.
Performances. Trying to ban dancing worldwide? Yes, Communist China is basically the bad guys from Footloose at this point. I'm not sure if we should be saved by democracy or...
I'm not sure your people would know this reference, Footloose. Maybe they're too young for that.
Kevin Bacon. And the CCP has even tried to bribe U.S. officials to revoke Shen Yun's tax-exempt status. But there's one thing that China absolutely hates about Falun Gong. The way it exposes the CCP's organ harvesting scheme. Because saying, hey, can you please stop killing us and taking our organs, completely unacceptable. Plenty of evidence shows that China is
Again, random image, just a random surgery that you can find on YouTube.
intentionally harvesting organs from prisoners of conscience. It started with killing the Uyghurs in the 1990s. Then they switched to Falun Gong for a couple of decades.
Where's the...
This has all been documented in...
So we have to discuss books here because anyone can write a book. Anyone. There's even a book about the Great Famine in China was written by a teacher of the Hong Kong University. He's still teaching here, actually. I'm living in China, for the ones who doesn't know. And he says that the deaths are between 40 million and 100 million. It's crazy, like it's crazy. It's crazy how to do statistics like this. Cannot be 40, 100 million. What kind of numbers are you considering? So anyone can write a book, okay? If you write a scientific paper that is reviewed, is peer-reviewed, and other people check the numbers, and you say, yeah, this is correct, it's fine. But a book, anyone can write it.
books like The Slaughter by Ethan Gutmann and by the Independent China Tribunal.
Independent China Tribunal. Who pays for this tribunal? Someone has to pay, right?
The problem was the CCP started to run out of Falun Gong people to harvest organs from, so they switched back to Uyghurs.
Wait. I like how they show the things so quick that you can barely read. Union of Catholic Asian News, for sure, is very credible, right? So we can really believe that this is no bias at all.
Who will the CCP use for organ harvesting next? I don't know, but you might not want to go to China right now, especially if you're full of plump, delicious, juicy organ meat.
That's a huge propaganda, right? What this guy is doing. It's happening for like 200 years, but...
Of course, the CCP tries to hide the fact that they're killing people so they can sell their organs. My favorite Chinese state-run media, the Global Times, tries to dismiss accusations of organ harvesting as just flimsy nonsense. Brags about China allegedly becoming more transparent with its organ donations and
So it's bad if China is trying to be more transparent, right?
claims that millions of people have reportedly volunteered to donate their organs. Meanwhile, aside
China has 1.4 billion people.
from pumping out propaganda, China silences talk in the West about forced organ
Again,
harvesting.
the Epoch Times, remember, Falun Gong. And why China has to say anything? China silence talk in the West on forced. Why China has to answer anything to the West? Again, the West invaded China several times. Why they have to say? Why they have to explain themselves to the West? Which is again, and another thing. What is West? Because Brazil, for example, I'm Brazilian. Brazil normally is not considered as West. In general, sometimes Australia and Japan are considered as West because it's just an idea. It's not a geographical position.
Sometimes Chinese government officials get directly involved and complain to politicians, or even make threats asking questions like, are you afraid of death? Which is exactly the type of totally
No
not...
context, right? Just record, just to have this glimpse of the interview, and we have no idea who said that, what's the context behind.
creepy thing to ask when you're trying to convince people you're not a body part snatching ghoul. But despite the CCP's threats, there are lots of pesky people around the world who keep exposing China's forced organ harvesting with their annoying documentaries and YouTube videos, whoever made these videos.
Yeah, for sure, of course. So we have to we can't trust on whatever is on YouTube, right?
Good job. We've got to keep a lot of eyes on this subject, at least before the CCP harvests those too. Despite China's efforts to
Again,
silence
the Epoch Times.
conversations, more and more people are speaking out against China's forced organ harvesting. Even politicians are speaking out against it.
But the journal made by Falun Gong, it has no bias at all. We can trust, of course. No bias at all.
even actually doing something to help. Back in January, the European Parliament adopted an EU resolution acknowledging and condemning the CCP's organ harvesting and its persecution of Falun Gong. And in the US, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson publicly warned about China's organ harvesting.
The US wants to teach anything about human rights.
And just last
Right.
month, the US House of
Gong
Representatives
protection.
unanimously passed
You don't find, I mean, at least curious that the United States has so many Tibet Protection Act, Uyghurs Protection Act, Falun Gong Protection Act. Why they want to protect Chinese people so much? This is just because the United States really like human rights, or maybe they have something against China. Just maybe they have something against China. Because I don't remember the United States taking care of their own Native Americans. They never really cared much about Native Americans. And today they are so worried about Chinese people.
a bill called the Falun Gong Protection Act. It specifically targets the CCP's persecution and forced organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners, which is monumental because US politicians can't unanimously agree on anything. If you say it's hot outside, they'll argue whether or not the temperature is just another form of inflation. The bill would require the US president
Bitter winter. So, as I said, the Epoch Times disconnected the extreme right. And now they're growing a lot in the United States. Even some politicians in the United States are becoming afraid of their power. Bitter winter is just extreme
to
right.
impose visa and property blocking sanctions on foreign persons that are knowingly responsible for, are complicit in, or have engaged in the involuntary harvesting of organs in China. This is
How to
important.
prove those kind of things?
It penalizes the Chinese Communist Party for what it's done and continues to do against Falun Gong practitioners and others. It also shows the U.S. government acknowledges that organ harvesting is real, which is a big deal given how hard the CCP is trying to cover it up. And on this 25th anniversary
They only have this footage, right? Of Falun Gong people doing exercise.
of the persecution of Falun Gong in China, that's something worth celebrating.
This video has 11 minutes. Because YouTube pays more if it's longer than 10 minutes.
Only we could give CCP officials the appropriate
Again, and the same image.
anniversary gift. Now, the CCP hates it when I point out China's religious persecution and organ harvesting. That's among the many.
CCP, Chinese Communist Party in China, they are this authoritarian country that can persecute anyone in the world. They are the big brother. But this guy is still alive. No matter what he says, no matter craziness he's exposing on YouTube and saying on YouTube, he's still alive. I guess China is not that bad at all, right?
Many reasons Chinese state-run media has called China Uncensored disgraceful anti-China garbage.
Yeah, of course.
But I need your help to keep making this disgraceful garbage. So join what I call the China Uncensored 50-cent army on Patreon.
Now he's asking for money. That's so funny. The guy has almost 2 million subscribers, and now he's asking for money. That's not news for us. That I have another YouTube channel in Portuguese. We have been following those news for like 5 years. And now I started to do these reactions in English. So leave a comment here, subscribe. Let me know what you think about this kind of reaction in English. And see you next time.